Business and Digital Marketing Trends with Milestone. My name is Eric Newton. I'm the Vice President of Marketing for Milestone, and presenting with me today is Venu Agrawal, the founder and president of Milestone. What we're going to cover today are 11 major trends that we think have a lot of impact for digital marketers, and that they're things we have to organize and get ready for 2021. We'll start with the macro economy, like where do we expect growth and do we expect rebound? And then a big theme of digital transformation, which is our primary theme really for the whole year because of the pandemic and how it's accelerated. And we're going to explain the mechanics of that to you, digital experience, and then all the things that go with the right digital and website experience and speed and mobile and entity and local. And then we'll talk a little bit about the kind of teamwork and collaboration that's even more required now than it was in prior times when things weren't this accelerated and compressed. So let's tell you a little bit about Milestone. A lot of customers on the phone, a lot of people who are considering doing business with Milestone. We bring together the best of software and services, and we put that together in solutions that help our customers organize and amplify digital information to reach the right audience. We have a history in hospitality, but we serve restaurants, retail, finance, automotive, healthcare, and technology, and we have Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 in most of those categories. So whatever business you're in, we break it down to the fundamentals. We're technical experts, and we use research and expertise to figure out what's coming in the next year or two, and we get our products ready for that, and we get our customers ready to jump onto those opportunities. So our first trend is the macroeconomic trend, and that is that the economy will grow next year. So this year was an absolute whipsaw, with Q2 down 33% in the United States, the GDP, Q3 up 31%, Q4 expected to be up, kind of flat to up a little bit. But overall for 2020, down 3.5%. So undeniably a recessionary year with a lot of restrictions with stay-at-home orders and so forth. But right now, the prediction for 2021 is to be overall up 4.4% from 2020. So that's a solid growth year, and I think it could even exceed that. And that growth is going to be driven from stimulus, from the recovery generally. And then there's a lot of pent-up demand for everything, for shopping and traveling, to be entertained, to go to sporting events, to go to music events, and in particular weddings. Our data shows that this January and February will be the most inbound demand for setting up weddings for the second half of the year, and that the 12 months from mid-year 2021 to 2022 will be the most significant wedding volume that anybody's seen in probably in the history in the United States and worldwide, just because people have been delaying their weddings. These are the kind of things that are going to really help the economy bounce back. And if you're interested in some of those trends, you can look on our blog and see what we're recommending to be ready to capture that kind of the return of corporate events and weddings. So when the pandemic started in March and April, our customers turned to us for advice, like, what do we do now? And so we created a framework for our customers, and then we distributed this framework more generally throughout the marketing community. And the framework had three primary steps: crisis, recovery, and growth. And in the crisis stage, there were things that had to be done. There was, things that had to be changed on the websites. There was messaging that had to be adjusted. There were pictures and videos that had to be changed so that they were more relevant to that crisis environment. And then in recovery mode, it was a little more stable. It's what people were calling the new normal. And then the growth phase, started in the fall and kind of pulled back a little bit. But, once the vaccine, now that we have a vaccine that's being distributed in the UK, and is going to be available in the United States in the next couple of weeks, there's going to be a lot more release of that pent-up demand. People are going to start booking again, shopping again, planning to do things, investing in that kind of entertainment, and and being ready to spend money. And in each of these phases, there were different areas to focus on. And as we head into the growth phase, we're recommending that people turn on the channels, like for pumping up paid, for example. We'll show you an example of that. We have some customers that were returning to their paid campaigns, and what that helped them do was return conversion and volume back to 90% of pre-COVID levels. So you want to be thinking about channels and turning those channels back on and bringing back your communication engine to reach out to people and capture the demand that's coming in February, March, April, and May, and then throughout the rest of the year. So that summarizes our first macroeconomic trend, that there's going to be growth, and we are saying, be hopeful and be prepared for that growth. But the bigger and more complicated theme is digital transformation. And what the statistics we're looking at and the data we're looking at say is that the digital transformation has accelerated by 5 to 10 years. So if you look at the trend lines of people using e-commerce, people delivering groceries, people getting food from restaurants delivered, even people delivering cars, those things had just a shift that was about what was expected in 2025 and 26 and later. And digital transformation was a necessity during the pandemic and during 2020. And those companies that were prepared for it and did well, there were some companies that prospered with it, and a lot of companies adjusted and muddled through. But the basic principles of digital transformation is that we digitize, that we automate, and that when we automate, we are better able to create a personalized experience for our users. And that's, while we do as in person, we create personal experiences by interacting with people, it won't scale unless it's digital. You can't have a personal interaction like a concierge does, or a clerk in a store. You can't have that personal interaction with 10,000 or 100,000 people without obviously adding that many more people. So that's the basis of digital transformation. And the evidence of this has been going on for 20 years. I worked in mp3.com around the turn of the millennium, and that's when CDs became MP3s. Physical things became digital things, and then we could customize music and people could do playlists with it. Paper documents have been decreasing over time, and newspapers and magazines have been becoming digital. Even something with as much structural physical inventory as real estate also has a major online component to it, where people are looking at the houses, they're going through lots of pictures, they're going through 360-degree video, and they come more ready to buy, or some people might even be transacting. And that's particularly important when people aren't comfortable going to an open house or being exposed, to other people if they want to quarantine or be separated. Car is really interesting, another really big, large physical product that's being delivered with a 1-week free trial, essentially, by a new generation of car dealers. And the old generation can learn something from the new generation of car dealers, and they can do similar things and provide similar services. This is digital transformation. That's a very different customer journey and shopping experience. Recently in 2021, this trend was emerging, but menus as QR codes. Most restaurants, in order to not have things we're touching and reduce the chance of passing germs, are providing QR codes that we can scan on our phones, and it's a more clean and sanitary experience. Photographs, we used to print photographs on paper, and now we have huge collections, and we used to scrapbook them, but now we share them digitally on social feeds. Banking has been undergoing this transformation maybe longer than almost any other industry. When they started, providing ATM access 24 hours, it was a huge innovation about maybe 30, 35 years ago. And then even more convenience and customization with online banking. Classrooms, this is something we really didn't expect to become. This is something that was kind of the hallmark of kind of social interaction, was physical schools, but we've figured out how to do that. Remote offices, everybody's doing that. We're almost all doing it right now. Our shopping carts became digital shopping carts, and even our signature became something digital that we could just stamp and not have to print and scan and fax. And this conference itself, we might have done this in person in the past, regionally, but we're doing it virtually here by webinar. Gives us a lot more reach and creates a lot of opportunity for us. But we all have to figure out what type of transformations are occurring in our industry and which ones we can emulate. So as I said before, when you digitize, you are able to personalize at scale. So think about dynamic emails with injecting people's names, being aware of what people have purchased in the past, and creating campaigns that are even more and more relevant to them. And that digitization creates that creates this opportunity for us to do that at scale. And the companies that do it at scale are going to grow more in this and every era. So if to the degree that you thought your website and your digital programs were important relative to physical programs, point of purchase, and so forth, it's even more important to invest now in end of 2020 and be ready for 21 and 22. So we've all heard that content is king and the customer is king. Well, it's a little more specific now because so much of the basis of our relationship is digital, that the digital customer experience is king. And what we saw, we looked at some research from some big companies like Robert Half and Dentsu, and we saw that prepared CMOs were reacting in 2020. Once the pandemic hit, they were changing the customer experience, whatever in a whole range of industries. And obviously with that much disruption, that's a good time to take a look. It's always good to be focused on it, but how do you understand the customer journey and what do you do with it? And the basic thing is to map the customer journey. Shockingly, Google reports that a car buying customer journey included, before the pandemic, 900 touch points in 90 days. People are doing 10 things a day when they're thinking about buying a car. That seems like somewhat the extreme. Maybe real estate, putting in a pool, some of these really big projects might have that many, but map out five touch points that people, how people buy your product, how people contact you. Map out those touch points and then look at the user experience at each touch point. Is there friction? Is there confusion? What can you do in the UI? What can you do in the FAQs? What can you do with pop-ups and hover and different things to give people more clues and scent to follow towards the engagement and conversion that we're looking at? And then figure out if the messaging is consistent across those different platforms and not the different platforms and different steps in the cycle. So that's how you make your digital experience king. There's a lot more to it. Your website, your email, all of your assets, integrated campaigning. It's something marketing has been saying for years, but what's changed in the pandemic is that much more of your business is digital. So if it was 25 or 30% bookings or purchase or interactions before or leads, that proportion is going to be higher because we're not doing trade shows for a couple more months and things like that. That you have to be good at this. And if you're not good at this, your competitor is going to be good at it. They're going to get more. They're going to get more customers, and they're going to use that competitive advantage to fund other channels and then even paid channels, like when you turn those back on. All right, I'm going to turn over to Banu now, and she is going to walk you through the next handful of interesting trends.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. And I see so many of customers, so many friends logging in. So first of all, wishing you all very, very happy holidays. I know this is a year we are going to all remember for the rest of our life, but we all are safe. Hopefully everybody's safe and everybody doing good. With that, let's get started. So what's different this year?
That's good, Banu.
Okay. One of the biggest things.
Go forward one and you're all set.
Awesome. Sorry about that. Little bit of technical.
There we go. That's right.
Wonderful. So most of the queries, it's, the way I look at it, it is really back to basic, right? We always wanted to spend more time with our community, with our kids. Both our kids are back home, which is great. We are spending more time. It's the same thing for businesses. Local intent is just absolutely skyrocketing. It's what that means is, as a business, we reaching out, working in our community. So really, for small businesses, there are almost 81% of queries are unbranded queries. What does that mean? Let's understand what my customers are looking for. What are their needs? And let's make sure, like Eric said, map out their customer journey. What are their challenges? What problem they are surfacing? Looking into heat map, looking into customer touch point across every single channel, right? People are feeling more committed to help the community, to help local business. Worst thing we can do, as we are here together in this craziness, but we got to help each other. And that feeling is mutual across entire all channels. And that's why it's also really important as a business that you are engaging with your customer. You are understanding what your customer is looking for. Maybe they are not going to be looking for transaction right now, but building that engagement is a key for winning. Which there are a lot of other ways which search engines have kind of launched, and we are going to talk about that. But it is absolutely must have for us as a business to engage with our customer. We are engaging, as a business, when you are posting FAQ, when you're going on different social media channels, when you're talking about things which customer might be looking for. If you're a restaurant and you know that customer cannot come for dine, what about if we post recipes? Or if you're a hotel and customer is not going to be able to come in, what about we share some stories of customers staying with you, or things which might interest your customer, and you can keep the connection with them. So reviews have actually become more stronger this year. Google just released algorithm last week, and stronger trust signal from your brand has actually even higher value. If you look at your local results on 3PAC is all about how you are interacting with that business. So if you have higher number of reviews, and it doesn't have to be all 5-star reviews, but good interaction and good engagement, that gives the highest trust signal to your domain. And then last but not least is voice, right? If you think about all the voice devices, they are surfacing results from GMB, from Bing, from Yelp. And if your information on these channels is not accurate, even hours of operation, this is like massive, right? Everybody is now looking for hours of operation, looking for if this store has offline pickup, online, and what kind of security measurement they have for their staff. And all this information is now available for businesses to, so business can provide this information to their consumers. So huge opportunity, especially if you're engaging with local community, local customer. Great opportunity for you to connect, engage with customers, solve their problem, and that helps us build this phenomenal funnel, which again we are going to kind of share. And I have given a link in my previous slide, which actually links to a video with the Engage video we had done, where we covered all the local trends and what are top 10 things we can do to gain more local online business. So with that, what is the most important thing, right? The biggest news is cookies is going away. Now, what does cookie really have to do with your tracking, right? When third-party cookies are going away, which really means attribution you cannot really track attribution from channels to channel. You have to think omni-channel. You have to think about your customer journey touch point. And then you have to have a better dashboarding so that you can see where your customer is and how your customer is interacting, which channel that customer is coming from. Are they coming from WhatsApp? Are they calling you online or off? If they are calling you online and they're picking offline or working with you offline, that's a trend you want to kind of bring it in your dashboard, right? So lot of this offline to online conversion is kind of a key for, for a business to measure success today. In fact, this weekend, when I was doing my farmers market run, my favorite store, because I'm not going to the mall anymore, so it's been a year, I have not done any shopping. And as I look at my favorite store, they have curbside pickup. This was like one of the best things. It's like, oh my God, I can really go pick up something because they're open and there is a special parking, and I can pick up what I ordered online right here. So it's a very simple thing, but makes a huge difference. And what really makes a huge difference is how you, all the channels, how you're providing consistent information to about your business across every single channel. So here is an example of one of our automobile customer where we literally were driving tons and tons of business across every single channel, but we started seeing a lot of activity offline, right? So we started seeing WhatsApp and phone call and RFP. And once we put this beautiful dashboard together, that's when we can start stitching the entire funnel, right? We can start seeing how much conversions are happening because we took online attribution across every single channel, build a beautiful dashboard, and it showed exactly offline to online attribution, online to offline attribution, and which channels are helping or not. It also showed what is working, what customers are looking for. Heat map studies, we used to do for every website, we used to do heat map study once a quarter, and now we have literally increased the frequency to make sure we are seeing, because consumer patterns are changing, right? So we are really tracking consumer touch point to ensure that we are not losing out. We are driving customer, giving them the best user experience possible. So with that, I think next, and one of the biggest thing is speed, speed, speed. And why speed is become such a big thing, and why speed is one of the biggest trend across every single search engine and last like literally more than a decade or probably 2 decades, is because mobile, even though CPUs have gone up, even though bandwidth have gone up, but mobile web pages are still 2x slower in 2019, right? And availability of mobile pages or information is actually still pretty slow. And that's why Google came up with this algorithm. They always talked about speed, but this year they decided to break speed down into 3 buckets. And this is the most important thing we would cover. There is again a video here. You can have, please do watch it if you do care about speed, or that's the concern. Why it is so important? Because information about your domain, your business, is consumed across several websites or several channels, right? Your iPhone, you're consuming information. Your Apple Watch, your customers are consuming information. So your site or your digital presence shouldn't just look good on a desktop. In fact, desktop ranking, desktop indexing is completely off. Google has come out and said that they are only going to be indexing mobile first, right? So what are the most important thing as a business we must do? So this is Core Vital, is a speed algorithm which is released by Google this year. It's going to be part of ranking next year, sometime in May. I think June, July, sometime around that time is going to be part of your ranking. But why it is different? Because this algorithm focused around user experience. It is focusing around interactivity. It is also focused around visual stability. What does that mean? Is it's going to be very hard if you have a very heavy site, which might look gorgeous. It might be built on some amazing platform. it's not going to do well because it doesn't have the basic of visual stability. It doesn't have the basic of how your information is rendering. Again, more information on this link. If you go to web.dev/vital, this is by Google. They are constantly updating this, and goal is for us, all of us, to keep keep your sites in good or needs improvement. It's really hard to actually get to good. It is hard, but it constantly requires changes of your CMS, constantly require changes of your images, your integration is probably one of the hardest thing, but has a huge impact on your, on your overall user experience for the site. Okay. With that, mobile. So I did talk about that. Mobile is now actually becoming mobile first, mobile only. Now, what does that really mean? Yesterday, we were hearing about John Mueller. John Mueller is a spokesperson for Google. And they're just saying if desktop content is now going to be ignored, they are going to be indexing mobile first or mobile only. If you have a mobile site and a desktop site, and if we are just updating the desktop site and not updating a mobile site, or mobile is sitting on a separate domain, or not doing a canonical, then they are going to ignore desktop site. So it's critical that first you have a responsive site. Second, when you have a responsive site, you are making sure as a business to update your mobile presence. And mobile presence should lead into your desktop presence. In fact, recently we have changed when we are sharing designs with our customer. We are making sure that anything we design, start to finish, first works on mobile, and then it renders really well on desktop. So optimizing your mobile experience through different heat map, different things is a really key, and speed is absolutely the must-have for us to do well in mobile searches. Okay, so this is actually brand new, and we have seen a huge impact because of COVID. Remote work, right? Because all of us are remote. How do we cannot just walk into IT office, or we cannot just troubleshoot things when customers are facing problems. Real-time dashboard, right? Availability dashboard, security dashboard, cloud infrastructure. A lot of our customers overnight, their traffics are just tripling and quadrupling. And you have to have a cloud infrastructure to make sure that we can do the adjustment on availability. We are using Azure environment. Idea is, it's not only a IT team's role, right? Eric asked me why it is important for marketing. It is really important because every single touch point for your customer, whether your employees or customers, that's really critical. Remote learning, remote work, how your customers are interacting with you, how your customers are, what is their experience when they first time come to your, when they start working with you, or when they start interacting with your software, right? What is your first time experience? What is your repeat experience? And how do we make this information available online real time? Because trends are changing, right? We have to be faster. We have to make information available and make a decision based on real-time information, not based on some legacy information, right? So another thing we are recommending, connecting with your customer through the channels they are connecting, right? So if your customers are on Slack, or if they are on Zoom or Teams or whatever those channels are, find out which channels your customers are using as a communication vehicle, and then subscribe to those channels, because end of the day, your team and your customer should be connecting with each other, even though we cannot be connecting physically, but online communication through Zoom, through different channel, really enables that little bit more seamless work. HTTPS, I think I won't repeat that. That is, again, must have. If you are not on HTTPS, absolutely, absolutely must have for you to move from HTTP to HTTPS. If you're not mobile, not HTTPS, you are going to be ignored from indexing. Okay. And entity is always my favorite topic on a planet. The best way to describe entity is the way to ensure consistent presence across every single channel. Last year, I talked about BERT. BERT was an algorithm updated last year or released last year, which was all about conversational search, which is all about, yes, we understand, search engine understand the intent behind your search, and your content needs to be more aligned with the intent. It needs to have more entities integrated. Now this year, there has been just phenomenal changes, and Google and a lot of search engines are constantly releasing, constantly adapting their results based on what consumers are doing, right? So for example, they release special announcement. They also did online events, because a lot of events like today, this event is happening online. So there is a special entity release for that. There is a special entity release for temporary hours or hours of operation, or what is a cleaning protocol during COVID, or what are the FAQs and how-tos. So if you just look at schema.org and look at all the entities released for your vertical, and ensure that you are constantly creating content based on consumer wish list or what consumer is looking for, then you have a perfect recipe to stay ahead. So entities is a way to go. It's actually becoming more important today because of a lot of these reasons. Okay. Okay. Local, we talked about local. I think this is a little bit more specific information around local. We talked about special attribute. We think about, asking Alexa or Google Home what time Costco is open. Think about how many times you are using, or you are asking Google Home, and if Costco does not update their temporary hours or hours of operation, or their shopping policy, or Trader Joe's long line, if they don't update all of this information, it's going to be very hard to build customer satisfaction, right? So making sure that your local customer, your customers who are coming to you, they can get the information they're looking for. And good thing is that search engines have done, even though everybody is working remote, they have done a phenomenal job for small businesses or a brand to update all of this information absolutely, instantaneously. And again, a lot of vendors, we work with a lot of these search engines and a lot of big partners to ensure that information about your business is available online real time. Okay, so here is an example for one of our customers, Sprinkle Cupcake. I love this. By the way, if you have not tried Sprinkle Cupcake, please do try it. They're just unbelievably awesome. But literally last year and this year, we have gone from probably 15 plus attribute to now almost 30, 40 plus attributes, which includes your post, which includes FAQ, which includes, if you see right here, can I dine in? Can I do curbside pickup? Or can you deliver? Or what is your hours of operation, right? What are your different website? How your menus are shared? What is your phone number and secondary phone number? And not only that, can I message the business? This is a new service which search engines have released, where you can message the business. So point here is that if local intent is really high, our goal as a marketer is to make sure that we are using every single channel available for us to connect with our customer, and every single attribute, right? So let's look at, all of the policies you have across all of these different attributes. Make sure you are making best use of it. Make sure you are, adding post and adding FAQs, and FAQs, not only adding FAQs on one channel, but literally adding FAQs on your website, on different channels. And yesterday, Google did release that FAQs and how-tos are some of the biggest things they are seeing as gaining higher in SERP ranking. Okay, and this is another one of my favorite slides. Because we are all working remote, it is super, super, super hard to do remote learning. It is really hard to do remote work, but it can only happen when you align your team, align your external vendor and internal vendor, establishing that common goal and outcome. In fact, having a ruthless prioritization, making sure your executive team is talking to customer, they have customer-centric mindset the first time, and of course, every single person from there on, right? I think in one of my previous speaking, I talked about discovery and delivery. This is the time we spend more time in discovering our customer needs, our customer problem, and align everybody within the company to make sure they are delivering to newest customer problem, right? Because a lot of these customer problems did not exist earlier. And that can only happen when, as a company, we all almost have a ruthless prioritization on, we are going to move fast, we are going to align every team, we are going to have a clear-cut way to measure outcome, and outcome measurement is going to be cross-functional team working together. Think about Starbucks, right? Think about Airbnb, think about a lot of brands who are doing well. They are doing well because it's not about the department, it's about the goal. And goal starts with customer and their concern. So we have done that in Milestone. We literally have added speed and alignment and relevancy as part of our OKR. And Eric, how was that? Adding that as part of the OKR, it was a good exercise that every executive has to remove at least 5. What was the
blockers.
OKR? 5
Remove
blockers.
the blockers that are causing slowness.
Yes, yes, awesome. So hopefully all the executives in Milestone will do that. With that, I'll hand it over to Eric, and I know there are a lot of questions coming in. We'll definitely get to questions shortly. Go ahead, Eric.
All right, thanks, Banu. So I've been, back in my career before 2000, we kept saying this is going to be the year of video, but that has definitely, 15, 20 years later, that's definitely become true. The bandwidth is robust enough to support massive video consumption, not just on the desktop, but on the mobile too, and 5G is starting to roll out in most countries. So video consumption becomes a bigger and bigger asset type that we have to deal with. And as a marketer, I think the easiest thing to do, it's not completely easy, but it's easier than the others, is to produce text for a blog. Then picking out images or making infographics is more difficult, and video is more difficult than that. So if you invest in video more than your competitors, you're going to have a differentiated asset. So the easy way to remember what to think about here to get some separation is V3, video, visual, and voice. But I'm really focused on video here and making sure that your video experience on mobile is really, really good for people. So you can be recording product managers, you can be recording your staff, your executives. All those videos have an audience out there in the community. You can be recording your customers, getting advocacy and user-generated content, and that'll be content that will help you succeed, particularly because we see video thumbnails in between 25 and 29% of search results have the video thumbnail row in them. And if you don't have any videos on YouTube or on your site, you're not going to be able to participate there. We're about 7-8% of the clicks are going to. So corporate character and authenticity matter, and I'm combined two interesting trends here. The millennials have surpassed the baby boomers as the largest generation in America, and that's going to be true in most Western countries. So the baby boomers are about 71 million, millennials are 72 million. They're the largest generation that's ever existed in America. You know, for most of my lifetime, we've been talking about the baby boomers' impact on the economy and politics and society. Well, now it's shifting to people in that millennial group. And as a company, you need to be more sensitive to that when you're thinking about the customer experience, when you're thinking about the communication, you're thinking about the style and the brand, that the people are younger, they're 30, 34 years old or less, are the people that are going to be making most of the decisions and be taking leadership positions in politics and in government and in business. So those are the people we have to influence more. So think about that as you set up for 2021, is to make sure your message resonates with that great big target audience. And doing the right thing is going to come back in style, with all the social unrest we had mid-year. And I think people have become more sensitive and more empathetic to the plight of the entire world with COVID-19. Being sensitive and caring about people is going to make a nice impact, particularly with millennials and the generation behind them. So we have some examples within our customer base of companies that have focused on this. The 1440 Multiversity here in Northern California shifted their business model to raising donation money to support essential workers so that they could recuperate, come here and rest and recuperate from these endless shifts they're working in the hospital and on the front lines of dealing with COVID-19. And they raised more than $1 million. So it's a fantastic doing well by doing good and doing the right thing for the society and the economy. U.S. Bank has a lot of community investment programs that they've been running for many, many years, and they told us in a previous webinar that when COVID-19 hit, they shifted their campaigns to focus more on what they could do for the community, what they could do for local business, and what they had been doing, and it really resonated well and brought in a lot of goodwill and new customers and new business. So, as marketing, raise these opportunities up to management as you're thinking about, what you're communicating to your constituents in your customer base. All right, so that is it for the trends, and I've got two special offers for you. One is, this is the very first announcement of a new research piece that we've created here at Milestone that measures the core vitals readiness. And Banu mentioned quite a few times in her part how important speed and this experience is, and it looks like almost nobody is ready. So the good news is that it's a big opportunity for 98% of websites that aren't quite core vitals ready is to get ahead. And however you look at algorithm updates, we like to say that Google rewards the people that follow the directions. So if the directions are to work on speed and largest contentful pane and first interactive, that you are going to be rewarded with more rank, and that rank will come with your written content, with your visual content. All of that will experience more visibility and more traffic. And this impact has, as Banu said, it's been going for a number of years that speed has counted somewhat, but by May 2021, this will be a ranking factor. So there will be like a week in which there'll be a shift and new people will come to the top who've done the right thing here. We can show you this data, and we've figured out, we've invested a lot of time and a lot of resources in figuring out how to do this, and we can help you get that done. So if you'd like to get that report, you can go to go.milestone.com, core-vitals-benchmark, and download a copy. The next thing we'd like to offer is a 2021 readiness audit. And if you are here in the webinar and you want to jump on this, milestone.com/resources/request audit. In the first 30 that respond, we will prepare an audit. It takes us a couple hours for each one to kind of review what's going on with your website and to see where the opportunities are. And even if you've done an audit with us before as a prospect or as a customer, the numbers are changing and the standards and the average and the benchmark is changing. So your scores can be going down, your opportunity can be changing. All right, so now we are going to summarize and then we're going to take questions. So if you have any questions, you can start loading them in the Q&A right now, and Banu and I will address them in just a couple minutes. But 9 things we think you can take away from today's discussion are to be hopeful and prepared that next year will be a growth year. It'll be better. Business will be better than 2020, and it's time to invest and get ready for that. Accelerate your digital transformation. Figure out things that you can convert from physical things to digital things, and to process that data and to create great, relevant personal experiences for your customers. Understand and track the customer journey and touch points. I've just updated a blog that has some information for the roadmap planning that it might be helpful for this, but figure out those 5 journey touch points and make sure that they're running as smooth as can be. Look at the speed, look at the user experience, the user interface, and make sure that those are all ready for 2021. Create compelling CTAs at all touch points. So remember to tell people what you want them to do next. Remember to help people figure out what's the next step. Make it obvious. Make it above the fold. Make it very visible, to make it easy for people to get to that final step with you of booking or buying or becoming a good lead for you. Build a better dashboard to capture omni-channel results. Banu gave you a preview of some of the things we're doing to capture offline to online, online to offline. But if you don't take a really broad view of what marketing's doing, your visibility is going to get less granular in 2021 as third-party cookies go away. You won't be able to see the impact of all the things you're doing. You're going to have to do some guessing unless you figured out how to reinvent your dashboard for 2021. So take some time. If you have any slow weeks between now and the end of the year, figure out how to get that information collected. Plan and improve your mobile experience, increase video, think about mobile video. Upskill your people, figure out what your people need to learn, figure out what they need to read, add certifications, cross-train within departments and across divisions to increase people's value to you as an organization. There's a funny joke that one manager says to another, "What if I train my people and they quit?" And the other manager says to him, "What if you don't train your people and they stay?" That's sort of the option you have. So it's much better to invest and have great people in your org. And then partner with vendors that innovate and keep you ahead, which is what we always try to be for you. So that's it for our prepared content. We can take some questions now if you'd like to send us a question. A couple questions have come in. Let me take a look.
I think Dan has a really good question around
all right
journey.
Can you expand a little bit on build a better dashboard to capture? So this is from Helena. Let me figure out Danielle. But so Banu, what is a better dashboard? What is an omnichannel dashboard? And if you want me to go to a different slide, let me return to this slide, and then you can speak from here.
Helena, how are you doing? So good to hear from you. So what I mean by omnichannel dashboard, it's really taking all your channels, right? So whether it's your WhatsApp or it is your online channel, offline channel, you could use, we have a product called Milestone Analytics, but you could use Data Studio or Tableau and create dashboard which can give you a full funnel analytics, right? So you want to see how many, take your CRM data, take your RFP data, take data from Google Analytics, take data from call, whichever your conversion points are, outline your soft and hard conversion points, and then create dashboard. So you can have accurate measurement of conversion, accurate measurement of your full funnel analytics. And then you don't have to worry about cookies too, because if you are taking data directly from that source, then you don't really have to worry about, hey, what happened if cookies are going away?
Okay. Next question, Banu, ready?
Yep.
Okay. So from Sarita, how can we influence our clients and update with digital experience? Because some of our accounts do not confirm digital presentations. So this is an adoption question. So understanding the parts of your offering that you can digitize, like part of your sales process or part of your purchase process or part of your onboarding process, digitizing those can be independent. And then you have this enablement effort that you have to roll it out across your own organization. If marketing is leading that digital transformation, you need to bring those ideas to people and then kind of show that it's a better way of doing things, that it's a better opportunity. Thanks for that question.
I,
Go
only
ahead.
one thing I like to add here: you never need to influence your clients. In fact, you want to understand what are their problems. Once we understand what are their problems, then showing them how you can solve the problem is the best way for anybody to kind of gain trust with the customer, right? So
Yeah, so an interesting question from Dan here. Will book publishers benefit from video game-like marketing and reading experiences? Should a website with adventure fiction, for example, present a journey-like experience as a shopper navigates selections, excerpts and audio video trailers? Might this be too expensive? So the first part of the question is, this is a great idea, Dan. I love the integrated and cross-channel. I love the immersive digital experience. And might this be too expensive? It's possible, right? When you're an early adopter of creating these kind of things, you might not need to be as literal on a performance basis when you're breaking new ground, because you get some attention from doing things that are truly innovative, and you get better lifetime customer value. So there'll be some things that'll be a little less obvious, but yeah, it will come. Part of this will come down, but I love your idea, and I recommend you figure out ways to trial the idea without investing a lot of sort of minimum viable product type approach to it, without investing millions of dollars to see if it can work and scale. Any thoughts on that, Banu?
yeah, only thing I will say, prioritize, right? Because if you invest all this time in creating amazing experience, but your platform, it's just not even enabling that experience for consumer to have it, then that might not be the best effort, right? So let's look at what platform you have, how you are ensuring that your customer can even find the basic information about your business before investing whole lot in phenomenal customer journey and then realizing that your customer cannot even get to that customer journey.
Yes. So Banu, there was a thought probably before we mentioned it, but what are your thoughts on the end of cookies on the business's abilities to track customer purchasing, and what should we do about it?
Yeah, I did talk about end of cookies, right? It's honestly one of my favorite subject. So what exactly is ending third-party cookie, right? Really what's happening is that now a lot of your tracking is not going to be browser based, right? It's going to be device based. And if you are getting information directly from all the devices, right? If you're getting that information directly from mobile or from that different, all the channels, and you're creating this omni-channel dashboard, that will help you get away from cookie problem, right? If your sites are GDPR, if you are getting first party data, and then you're getting, rather than getting third party data from 3 other vendors, you are getting direct data from every single vendor and putting it together in this beautiful dashboard. That's what I talked about. And you don't have to worry about the cookie concern.
Yeah, one person in the audience said that distance learning should have been expected, and many colleges were already doing it. I absolutely agree with you that there was in adult education and professional development and certification, we all did distance style learning. The transformative part of it was primary school and high school, that when those things that involve millions and millions of people and students and teachers, when that had to go online suddenly, it was very disruptive. And they're figuring it out, but the problem isn't just broadcasting the message. The problem is the efficacy, is having an impact and dealing with all the social development opportunities. How do you do that remotely?
Yep.
Okay, some other questions. what is the best way to measure the success of keywords? It is great to have them drive activity, but what is a good ratio of ROI on spend to conversion? How often should we update keywords? This is from our friend Frank at 1440. Let's see, the success of keywords on a paid basis, that most marketing has some set return. ROAS is a typical measure that you want to get 2 or 3 times what you put in, so that it's the best place to put money to help drive your business. On the SEO, on the organic basis, you probably, once organic starts to work, you get a really high ROI, but you would use a similar number for all of your channels, 3x, 4x, 5x, and then you invest in those channels, and then you reinvest. You do that omni-channel measurement, and you scale into the channels that have the highest return until they flatten out, and then you pull back a little bit. Great question. Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, let me take that also a little bit. Thank you, by the way, Frank, for attending. And it's great to have see your property there and your business there. But, in my opinion, for your paid channel, because a lot of your paid is now moving towards non-branded, you really cannot. Branded search always gave very high return on investment, because very high return in terms of conversion, but non-branded is always top of the funnel. So it's not going to give you that high returns, but it still is really good to create that engagement and connection with customer, because you can get top of the funnel. When it comes to organic, it is all about your potential, right? So it's really not, changing keywords is not a good thing. It's really building potential for your non-branded, where you can say, okay, right now for non-branded queries, I'm only 25%, but I have ability to gain another 30. So non-branded, my recommendation is don't change, add more, so you can constantly keep adding, getting a little bit more part of your pie. For paid search, you don't want to change. You want to really measure if you are doing branded or non-branded. Non-branded conversion is going to be top of the funnel conversion. So it's not a good idea to change.
All right, last question, I think, is where did you get the data regarding the increase in weddings? So I pulled lots of data from our database and looked at the patterns of RFPs by month. And I looked at the pre-pandemic patterns and the post-pandemic patterns. And there was a drop off, but I saw it starting to return. January and February are really high months for RFPs. And because all of the people who delayed weddings, most of them are going to be rescheduling in 2021. And they're going to be somewhat competitive, I think, for booking out something that is post the vaccination efficacy point of say June or July. So I think the end of the year is going to be absolutely boffo for the next 12 months. We'll have 2 years worth of weddings largely in those 12 months. And a lot of those RFPs are going to come in January and February. So get ready to process your leads. All right, that's our time for today. We want to thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Thanks, Eric.